Y'all know what the deal is by now. It's leak season, baby, and we got a ton of information regarding the sub-legendary quartet, the Dolphin Pokemon, and many more, so let's dive in. Alright, so you guys know that we've got two leakers on the loose. We've got Riddler KHU, we've got Kaka. Kaka is going off right now. We got information about a new Dolphin Pokemon, which is something we've talked about extensively over the last few weeks, but apparently it is a two-stage Pokemon. It evolves into a bigger Dolphin that actually has two different forms, one of which stands on its fins and looks like it's a superhero. So this kind of ties into our Neo-Spacian Aqua Dolphin that came from Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of the idea that it evolves without being evolved, and it's interesting what the Riddler had put out, and now we have this information from Kaka. So it does seem as though this Dolphin Pokemon finally coming to fruition. I'm partial to Leviathan, my Alestral, but we'll give it a chance and see how this new Dolphin Pokemon looks when it ultimately gets revealed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We also have some screenshots. Now, I'm gonna be honest, much like the screenshots we've seen up to this point of the leaks, they are very blurry and pieced together, and it's kind of like, what are you really gonna gather from this? But there's a screenshot here of something that's apparently not Gallade, not Garchomp, but it starts with G-A, and it has red and then like a dark background. You can't really devise anything from this. It's just not Gallade and it's not Garchomp. So we'll wait and see what that's gonna be. Then we've got some other screenshots, one of which, the top one looks like Salandit or Salazzle. However, it could be something new, but I would say that that's probably what it looks like. Then you've got this super blurry, who even knows? I don't know what any of these things are. You've got a green blob of blur. This actually looks like it could be a person's hair, if I had to guess, although there's like 7 pixels here, so I'm not gonna pretend like I can really, decipher anything from this. And then you've got this red thing that could have something to do with the SUSHI Pokemon that's been talked about. I don't know what the deal is here, but these are the screenshots. This is what's going on right now in the leak community. So this guy Kaka is putting out these funny screenshots. Who knows what they are, but maybe you guys have a better idea than I do. Hard to kind of decipher, although I will say it does look like Salandit and Salazzle, but who knows what the rest are. We'll have to wait and see. Before I dive into some pretty crazy story spoilers, this is your reminder to pre-order Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You can use my link in the description below with Best Buy, and it actually hooks me up a ton. Like, seriously, it doesn't cost you anything extra. You pre-order the game like you normally would, and you hook up your boy Dan, aka A-Drive, a tremendous amount. Like, I don't even know how they give me as much as they do for the same price. It's crazy, so please use my link. It helps me out a ton. And of course, if you pre-order, you obviously get access to that flying Pikachu, which everybody wants. I want a Pikachu with balloons that knows the move Fly, and you probably do too. So use my link in the description to pre-order Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You know you're gonna get it anyway, so just use my link. The Riddler is back, and he's talking about, he says, basement gates, flags stacked with Despalo give you kind of a juvenile, delinquent vibe, and it clicked, man. The evil team is a bunch of bullies, dude. It's crazy, right? We're going to school. You've got the Naranja Academy and the Uva Academy. I don't speak Spanish. That's oranges and grapes, if I'm correct. And it's gonna be bullies, man. That's the deal. The evil team is gonna bully you, and the Riddler goes on to say that we should pay attention to the issue of school bullying. My goodness, I don't know how to feel about this, man. Listen, I don't keep it a secret. I'm a 31-year-old dad of 2. School is not something that I had any intention of going back to at this point in my life. And here I am playing Pokemon, about to be going back to school. What a time to be alive. I still have a recurring nightmare of like forgetting to turn in an assignment. So the idea of me going back may not be the best play. But the idea of school bullying, I think my only thought to that ultimately is, like I said, the school thing is whatever. But I would say that I hope that they address the issue in a tasteful way that discourages school bullying, because like nobody wants to get bullied. I'm sure if I said how many people watching the video right now have been bullied, pretty much every single person's raising their hand. You know what I mean? Like, I know I was. So let's make it not a comical thing, and let's use it as an educational piece, hopefully, if that's gonna be a big plot of the story in my mind. And here's where things get real spicy, baby. Soul Silver bringing the heat as they always do, and talking about the sub-legendary quartet. Now, we know that the game is going to feature 4 legendaries, much like you've got the legendary birds, you've got the Tapus, right? These groups of legendaries that are kind of associated with each other. Much like the 4 Tapus, it seems as though we are getting 4 sub-legendaries for Scarlet and Violet. And we know that from the leakers that these different legendaries have Chinese names. And what's interesting here is Soul Silver does the breakdown. So taking a step back, Legends Arceus featured the 4 cardinal direction deities. That's your Thundurus, Landorus, Tornadus, and now Eternatus. And obviously Eternatus was a pretty important thing, and those are based on some mythology, I believe, in Chinese mythology, if I'm not mistaken. Then it just so happens that they actually have 4 evil counterparts called the 4 Perils. Dun dun dun, Soul Silver strikes again. The Pokemon base the 4 cardinal directions on the forces of nature, which is the Genie Quartet. And without a doubt, they obviously used Legends Arceus to bring them into relevancy and also add Enamorus to the group, adding the 4th one. And here we go, baby. And Soul Silver predicting that they're going to be based on, look similar to, or even act like the 4 Perils. If there's no 3rd Legendary in Scarlet and Violet, maybe these 4 play an antagonistic role due to their evil origins, and it kind of breaks them all down with some really cool screenshots and images of these specific, you know, perils. So it seems like a really sound theory, right? Like a very valid approach in saying, okay, you've got the 4 genies as they're based on the correct, you know, the cardinal directions, the forces of nature. Obviously, Enamorus is brought back brought to the fold for a reason. They brought the other ones back. Now they're going to introduce the 4 perils. Based on all the pieces we've gotten so far, it actually seems really good. So Soul Silver also reports on the fact that Ku doubled down on them having Chinese names and therefore origins, much like Kaka had said. So both of them are saying that, you know, they obviously came from that idea. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But then, you know, we've got the 4 perils, you got the 4 forces of nature, you got some screenshots here of different rivers that Soul Silver kind of pointed out with these little caverns that are at the top of the rivers. Perhaps that is related to the 4 of them. It seems as though the towers that we identified yesterday were not what's related to them. But some really cool stuff, a really cool theory that I think is worth, you know, entertaining at this point. So we'll have to see how that all plays out in terms of this. But if you remember, I remember Enamorus being leaked with the heart-shaped cloud riddles, right? So the idea that this could be legitimate is, I think, worth considering at the very least. And of course, after this rumor comes out, we get information from Amy at Japan that's, you know, kind of parroting what Kaka is saying that this group of legendaries, they're not a fairy type, and they're not a dragon type either. So what does that mean? The thought right now is that it could mean that they're all dark type, right? The forces of nature are all flying, right? They all have the flying in common. Earth and you know, thunder and or electric and you know, flying, and then you've got obviously Enamorus being fairy. So maybe these are all dark. Maybe they're dark and something else, which I think could be really cool. I think that could be really cool, like a group of dark legendaries that have some sort of evil vibe in the region. I dig it. I think that could be really sweet. Maybe they're ghost types. Honestly, that would be really cool. Ghost types instead of dark types. That would be really cool if they were ghost types. But we'll wait and see. But it seems that we got some really nice kind of direction here on what this group of legendaries could ultimately be when the game drops. A lot of fun stuff today regarding the story and the fact that we're going to get bullied probably by the evil team. Go figure. We've also got the information about the Dolphin and, of course, the sub-legendaries, which is pretty much the biggest piece of the puzzle. Don't forget that you guys can pre-order Pokemon Scarlet and Violet using my link in the description below with Best Buy. It helps me out a ton, so please use my link. You're going to pre-order it anyway. You might as well. You get that flying Pikachu. Let me know your thoughts on the 4 perils potentially being something in the comments section below. Like the video if you guys enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. That's going to be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by A-Drive, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.